God is a spirit. So if you're going to worship God, you're going to have to worship him in the spirit. That's the way to worship God. And Jesus was announcing a new order. He's saying, hey, the old order is going away. It's been abolished. He says, the hour is coming and now has arrived. The true worshipers will worship the Father in spirit and in truth. In spirit and in truth. And that woman, she didn't understand what Jesus was saying. So she said, anyway, when Messiah comes, he will tell us all of these things. Then Jesus said, I that speaketh to you am he. He says, I'm the one you're waiting for. She knew when Messiah comes, we'll be taught the new way, the new order. She didn't know Messiah had come. And Jesus said, I'm here. Now imagine what would have happened to that woman that day. What the fathers waited for, what everybody waited for. The prophets talked about him sitting at the well. He had asked me for water, and I wasn't willing to give him water. Think about it. And remember what Jesus said to her earlier. If you knew the one that asked you for water, you would have asked him for water. And he would have given you that living water. She said, you don't have a cup, you don't have a bucket. How are you going to get it? She didn't know who she was talking to. But Jesus was not offended. He just kept on talking to her. Then he said, go call your husband. She said, I don't have any husband. Jesus said, you've spoken the truth. You have had 5. She was not a prostitute. Jesus said, you have had 5. And there's a man with you now, but this one is not your husband. So she said, I perceive that you are a prophet. But he was more than a prophet. He was God. Hallelujah. He says, the true worshippers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth. The true worshippers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth. Oh, so how? It's interesting that all over the world, the many Christians who have written books and preached sermons on worship lifted from the Old Testament, which was actually supposed to be abolished. You know, they're thinking of the various styles of worship. But Jesus brought a new order. He said, the true worshippers shall worship in spirit. Why? He said, God is a spirit. That you're jumping doesn't mean anything to God. He says, God is a spirit. That outward show will not mean anything to God. Why? He says, because God is a spirit. You cannot worship him with physical things because God is a spirit. I wonder whether you worshiped today and how you did what you did. How did you worship? Now I know there are people who think that there's praise and then there's worship. So the praise is when they're singing fast and shouting, and then they say, all right, now we're going to worship from that got nothing to do with it. It's not the speed of your song. He said, God is a spirit. Those who worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth, because God is a spirit. So you're going to have to worship him in spirit. And if we use that word, that's what it means. Bow, kiss, prostrate. All right? Then Jesus was saying, God is a spirit. And if you bow, you have to bow in spirit. That's actually what he's saying. If you're going to kiss him, you're going to kiss him in the spirit. How are you going to do that? If you're going to prostrate, it says you're going to have to do it in the spirit. Because God is a spirit. So all the physical ones will mean nothing to God. Oh.